Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Tuesday. Markets are open finally today. Obviously, they were closed yesterday for Labor Day here in the US. And we'll take a look at obviously the Bitcoin, what's going on with it. It is down quite a bit today, which is not a good sign. And we'll also take a look at the miners, see how they did today as well. They didn't do too well. A couple of them did okay, but we'll get into it. And we also have a lot of August production updates. So you got Core Scientific, Hive, Hut 8, Marathon, and Riot all posted their production updates for August. We'll get into all of those. I'm going to probably divide these up later on after I post this video. So it's going to be a long video. So I hope you guys bear with me on this one. And, well, it's probably going to be at least an hour long. I'm hoping I don't go that long, but we'll see. So as always, not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And let's get into the markets here really quick, and then we'll get into the other things. So the S&P was down today 0.41%. The Dow Jones was down 0.5% today, and the Nasdaq was down 0.74% today. So obviously not a good day in the markets. Nasdaq has been down for the last, that's now, what is it, 7 trading days, I believe, in a row, which obviously isn't good. But let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick, along with Ethereum, and we'll see what's going on in the crypto space. All right, so Bitcoin is down to 18,856 right now. It is going back down a little bit. Did go up a little bit, but we hit a low today of 18,663.25 on the day right now. It is only about another 40 minutes or so before the day closes here, and then we go into the next day. And right now it is looking like it's going back down a little bit, but we'll take a look at it. In my previous videos, I said that, we're doing okay. We're holding the trend line here, or support line of 19,500. We obviously blew past it today. You can see it here on the chart. I'll zoom this in for you guys. And we were talking about this trend line here that we drew all the way back from November of last year. Now, I said that there's 2 possibilities that are going to happen possibly with this. It's either going to go above it, or it's going to go below it, and we're going to fall below our support here, which obviously is what happened. We saw a similar pattern here, and this was back in August 26th, started back at August 19th, sorry. And we traded sideways for a couple of days. We fell, and we've done the same thing here. We've traded for almost, what is it now, probably 10 days or so, and we fell. So our next support is going to be possibly the bottom that we reached here on June 18th, which is, we hit a low of 17,567 at that point. So that could possibly be our next support line if we don't break above this resistance now of 19,500. If it closes below it today, which it probably will with only 40 minutes left in the day. So that's kind of where we are right now. On the 1 hour chart, on the daily chart, we can see that RSI is pretty low at 29 right now. And if we look at the 1 hour chart, we are obviously way below that. We are at 26 right now. So we are in the oversold territory, it looks like. And I'm looking for a possible little bit rally here to come. We are pretty low right now. As you can see here, we had a nice wick up in the last, almost 4 hours ago. And then we've been sliding back down again as this has been going through. So that's Bitcoin right there. Ethereum is at 1,572. It obviously has followed suit as well. With Bitcoin falling, it fell as well. It is down 2.83%. Bitcoin was down 4.68%. It was down almost over 5% earlier before kind of bouncing back up. And we can see here that Ethereum, however, is not oversold yet, at least on the 1 hour chart. If we look at the daily chart, it is still halfway between, oversold and overbought. It's at 46 right now. And I think the reason that it's doing a little better than Bitcoin is right now is because of the possibility of the switch over to proof of stake, which is supposed to happen sometime this month. I believe they were supposed to have something happen today. Don't recall what it was supposed to be, but I believe it was supposed to happen today. And then they were going to do the final fork later on this month. But I believe we'll take a look at it in the story on Hive. Hive actually provided some information on that, and we'll cover it there. So that's obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum. Not a good day for them. Down quite a bit as well as the market was. Let's take a look at the miners individually. So ANY was down 5.62% to 56 cents. Argo was down 4.45% to 42 cents. Bit Digital was down 2.84% to $1.37. Bitfarms was down 5.74% to $1.15. CleanSpark was down 2.22% to $3.97. And it looks like it's getting close to its 52-week low here. 52-week low was about $3.81, it looks like. Cores is down 1.89% to $2.08. It was up a little bit earlier today, but it obviously finished down lower. DigiHost was the only exception here that was, well, not the only, I think it was one other miner that was up to date. So DigiHost was up 4.48% to 70 cents today. DMG was down 1.36% to 21 cents. Greenidge was down 3.64% to $2.12. Hive was down a lot, 11% today to $4.26. And that is possibly because of, obviously, the Ethereum fork coming to proof of stake. That's not obviously going to be good news for Hive and Hut 8 as well. And Hut 8 was down 4.19% to $1.83 today. Iris Energy was up 0.25% to $4.09. Luxfolio was up 0.43% to 77 cents today. Marathon was down 2.28% to $11.12. Mawson was up 0.37% to 71 cents. And Riot was down 3.47% to $6.40. And Solana Holdings was down 3.09% to $2.51. And lastly, Stronghold was down 7.14% to $1.30. It is reaching new all-time lows here, or 52-week lows at least, on the chart. We can see it here. All right, so those are the miners. So obviously, it was a little bit more of the miners that were up. But Luxfolio and Stronghold we really don't cover. So Iris Energy was up, Mawson was up, and DigiHost was up. So 3 miners were actually up today. All right, so those are the miners. So let's get into the stories here on the production updates for the miners. And the first one up to bat is, we have 560 days left before the next halving. So there's the update for that. So Hive is our first one here at the bat. So Hive Blockchain provides August 2022 production update, record monthly BTC production, and appointment of Gabriel Ibigi as general counsel. Apologize if I butchered your name. And let's look down here. So HODL balance of 3,258 Bitcoin and 5,100 Ethereum as of the end of August. Looking down here, they produced 290.4 BTC from their ASIC miners. And then we'll get into the numbers for the combination, the BTC equivalent numbers. So they were at 2.23 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity at the beginning of August with an average hash rate of 2.07 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity during the month. They produced 3,010 Ethereum. Ethereum is at 6.49 terahash. Obviously, this is going to be going away here if we get the proof of stake happening with Ethereum. In August, so this is a quote from Frank Holmes, in August we produced an average of 16.7 BTC equivalent per day, comprised of approximately 9.4 BTC per day, and our Ethereum production of approximately 97 Ethereum per day. So they were producing about 9.4 BTC from their ASIC miners and 97 Ethereum from their Ethereum miners. We are pleased to note that as today we are producing over 9 BTC even with last week's Bitcoin difficulty increase of almost 10%. So if it was 10% increase, they should have been making 10% less. So that would have been almost 0.9 or so less. So that's actually a good sign there. And let's see here. BTC equivalent for a total of 518 BTC equivalent. So that's what we have them written down as. The company's total Bitcoin equivalent production in August was 518.8 BTC equivalent, 16.7 BTC equivalent produced per day on average. So that's pretty good, but that's obviously going to fall, like I said, with Ethereum coming offline possibly. And there's going to be quite a bit of here that we want to get into here. This is their Hive relative market value. So as of September 1st, 2022, Hive currently has 2.3 exahash of active Bitcoin mining capacity, which is producing over 9 Bitcoins per day, even after the recent Bitcoin difficulty increase. Hive has orders for over 1 exahash. So they weren't specific on it, but from Intel, of ASIC miners using Intel's block scale Bitcoin mining ASICs between now and December. So if those are at, just say 130 terahash or somewhere around there, it's going to equate to possibly, 9,000, I believe, of miners? No. Yeah. 9,000 miners or so to get them to the 1 exahash, a little bit over that. The company expects to receive initial commercial units in late September. Additionally, the company has approximately 370 petahash of micro BT ASICs miners in monthly orders scheduled to arrive between now and December 2022. So that's going to get them up another the combination of the Intel and the micro BTs, they'll get them to over maybe close to 1.5 exahash. So that's pretty good there. Therefore, Hive expects Bitcoin mining hash power to increase to over 3.5 exahash by Q1 of 2023, an increase of over 50% compared to our current Bitcoin mining hash rate. That is obviously going to be really good if they can actually pull this off. They have been one of the slower ones to get equipment in. So as long as they can get the equipment in when they say they're going to get it in, that would be fantastic. But I give it probably somewhere around Q2 by the time everything gets installed, just by past performance. Going down here, the company believes that a discount to Hive's market valuation has already been applied in the 12 months leading up to the Ethereum merge relative to industry peers, as Hive shares have traded with some of the lowest price to earnings ratios amongst its industry peers, despite consistently having leading performance and economics in the crypto mining sector. I do agree with them there. However, I think a lot of the investors are looking for growth. They weren't providing a lot of growth, and the fears with obviously Ethereum coming to an end for mining for them was also another catalyst that was possibly pushing the stock down instead of up. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that one. The company also notes that Hive's Ethereum mining operations have historically generated 3 to 4 times more revenue per megawatt than Bitcoin mining, which is true. They are definitely more efficient when you convert it over to BTC. So I agree with them there. Also, numerous industry analysts exclude the company's Bitcoin equivalent production from Ethereum in their monthly production reports. I don't do that. I combine them all because that's what they're actually generating. As a result, the company believes no premium has been applied for being the most efficient Bitcoin miner on Bitcoin per exahash per month basis, which Hive has led amongst peers since the beginning of 2022. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to be obviously very efficient, but when looking at growth, we know that Ethereum is going to drop. So that's a huge 30% roughly around there of revenue is going to be cut from them. They can make up a little bit of it. We don't know how much they're going to make up on it from doing computing services with those Ethereum miners. They can only do a portion of it anyways. So them being efficient is great, but that was largely helped by Ethereum. So Ethereum's going away. That's possibly why it's also not having a huge impact on it, at least within not the last year. Additionally, no premium has been applied to Hive being the first public crypto mining company, and to this day using green renewable energy. Yeah, I mean, why should they get a premium for that? That's kind of crying foul there. Yeah, they were the first public crypto mining company, but investors are looking for growth. At least that's what I'm looking for. And if I'm like the average investor, I'm looking for growth, and that's what's causing obviously price in other stocks to go up, while this one has been kind of flatlined a little bit here lately. Next, Ethereum outlook and strategy. So the company acknowledges the potential Ethereum merge to proof of stake. Notice this, the potential Ethereum merge. So there's still, I would say that we are not 100% certain that Ethereum proof of stake is going to happen like they say that it is. It might be kicked down the road a little bit, a couple months maybe, hopefully not a year. But I think it's going to happen sooner than later on that. But they're still obviously, going to that potential Ethereum merge. Current projections from the Ethereum Foundation blog indicate the consensus layer will upgrade to Bellatrix on September 6th, which is today. So I wonder if that actually happened. I haven't checked into that yet. With estimates that the merge to proof of stake will occur between September 10th and 20th. So that would be obviously within the next 2 to 3 weeks if that does play out. More like 2 weeks, within a week to 2 weeks. So it'll be interesting time not only for the miners, but for Hive, for Hut 8, for other people that are obviously also mining Ethereum as a hobby. It's going to make it a lot more, well, you can't mine it once that happens, but it's going to be crazy with the other coins to see which coins are actually still going to be profitable with, depending on how much hash rate gets added to those. So some more details here. Hive has already commenced analysis of mining other GPU mineable coins with its fleet of GPUs. So you're looking at Ethereum Classic. There's some other ones as well that are mineable. So we'll see what they actually come up with. And is implementing beta testing this week prior to the merge. So that's obviously a good thing. They probably should have been doing this a little bit sooner, but better late than never. The company's technical team is implementing a strategy to optimize the hash rate economics of the 6.5 terahash of Ethereum mining capacity in the event Ethereum's transition to proof of stake across various other GPU mineable coins. So that's also good there. Let's see here. They do have obviously some pretty low electricity costs. So with power fixed at approximately 3 cents USD per kilowatt hour, Hive is well positioned to navigate the market ahead, which is true. As long as they can keep their prices down, they should do okay with the majority of the other coins, I would think, depending on how much hash rate gets edited into them. If it gets too much, it's not going to be profitable. Let's see here. Of these 21.5 megawatts, approximately 14.8 megawatts are comprised of legacy GPU cards, primarily AMD Radeon RX 580 cards, which have mostly been operating since 2018 and have paid for themselves many times over, thus marking a successful venture in Ethereum mining, which is true. They are obviously not sure what they're going to do with those, whether they're going to sell them or do something else with those possibly. So these legacy GPU cards GPU cards comprise approximately 3.7 terahash of the company's Ethereum hash rate. If converted to Bitcoin ASIC mining using newer generation ASICs, the company would be able to operate an additional 400 to 440 petahash of Bitcoin mining in this 14.8 megawatt of capacity, so which is good. We'll see if they provide any information on these miners going forward, if they're going to be selling them or what they're going to be doing with them, or if they're going to be mining possibly some other coins with them. The balance of the 21.5 megawatts of GPU power capacity is comprised of 6.7 megawatts of new generation data center grade and professional grade NVIDIA GPUs, which account for approximately 2.8 terahash of the company's Ethereum hash rate. The company currently has approximately 38,000 data center grade NVIDIA cards, including the A4000, A5000, A6000, and A40 models. NVIDIA cites the RTX A6000 as the world's most powerful visual computing GPU for desktop workstations, the A4000 as the most powerful single-slot GPU for professionals, delivering real-time ray tracing, AI-accelerated compute, and high-performance graphics to your desktop. And then the A40, they're saying it's an evolutionary leap in performance and multi-workload capacities from the data center, combining best-in-class professional graphics with powerful compute and AI acceleration to meet today's design, creative, and scientific challenges. These cards can be used for cloud computing and AI applications and rendering for engineering applications, in addition to scientific modeling of fluid dynamics. So there's obviously a possibility where these could generate some income. We just don't know what that income is going to be. Hive has a test pilot project for cloud computing at a tier 3 data center, where a portion of the A40 GPU cards are being applied to cloud computing. So we'll obviously hopefully get some updates on that, see how those are performing and what they're actually making on those. Other thing was, let's see if there's anything else. I think that's it. So it's going to be a bumpy road ahead here for Hive, I think, in the next couple months while they figure all of this out. They obviously have to increase their hash rate on the Bitcoin miners. We'll see what they end up doing with the GPUs. But let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them, along with institutional investors, see what's going on there as well. And then we'll get into the next one here. Let's get into Hive. Okay. So Hive, we have them at 518.8 BTC mined, which is what they reported, which is the BTC equivalent as well. They are pretty efficient here. We're getting them at 0.394 BTC per petahash, which is really good. Their prior high was 0.466 at the start of January, and that was basically because we didn't have any miners that were getting installed, and it was just, full speed ahead. They didn't have any days down. We'll take a look at how many days they were down possibly this month. I think they were pretty much full. But we'll take a look at it here as well. So month over month, there was an increase of 53.7 BTC, which is good. 11.55% increase, which is great. They did sell about 351.8 BTC for the month. They did report that they have 3,258 BTC right now. That equates to about 64.7 million right now. And it is 16.48% of their HODL to market cap percentage. And each share has about 79 cents of BTC HODL in it right now. All right, going down here to the miners, we'll take a look at see what we got installed here in August. So it looks like we only installed not too much. We got 20 there. Okay, so we installed about 35 or so petahash for the month. It's these miners that are the 74 terahash miners, along with these 100 terahash miners to get us to that. And they were mining pretty much for the full month of August here, 31 days, except for the miners that we added here were for 20 days. Based on that, we got them to 11.6 million, which is what we're coming up here 11.6 million based on the average Bitcoin price for the month of August. So that's where we're calculating that. I used to use the end of month Bitcoin price, but seeing how I was off on my numbers here, I wanted to get a little bit closer, so I'm thinking maybe the average price would be better going forward. Okay, so there's that. Go down here, and then institutions. So institutions have sold out. Some of them we have 103 now compared to 122 in August. 7.9 million shares compared to 7.96. So that's a little bit of a decrease, and a little bit of a decrease in the percentage owned from 9.68 to 9.6. We still have one strong buy, two buys, 0 holds, 0 underperform, and 0 sells. As far as analyst ratings, analyst price targets are $7 for the high, 7 for the average, 7 for the low. Obviously, a pretty big decrease here from $25 in August. They're not too far away from that right now. They're at $3, something like that, and change. We're close to $4. We'll take a look at it here shortly. Let's go back up here to the numbers. And they are at $4.79. Okay, $4.79, so not too far off from the $7 price target provided by analysts. I have them at, right now, at a PE of 15. Obviously, with Bitcoin coming down, they're not going to be at that PE ratio. But this is kind of where I think they could possibly get to, especially with the amount of growth that they have left in them. If we had an extra, there's probably going to get to about 5.3 exahash by the end of Q1, Q2 of 2023. But we just don't know how many miners are getting, what the speeds are on those. So when we do find out, excuse me, we'll add those in here as well, and that'll probably decrease their percentage of operational total, and then the hash rate percentage growth will obviously increase as well. So they still have a little bit of growth left in them, obviously. And I think a PE of 15, once Bitcoin starts going back up, is a fair number. It could be obviously higher depending on where Bitcoin goes. When that's going to happen, nobody knows. But we're looking possibly within the next, basically, year and a half or so time frame before the next halving. Bitcoin usually, historically, goes up. So we'll see. Market cap is 382 million right now. Shares outstanding is 81.9 million. And market cap to revenue is basically 2 right now. And that's just taking their market cap, dividing it by the total that we're estimating here for the last 3 quarters and the current quarter. So I'm looking at 1782 at 50% net income from gross revenue, and $26.73 at 75% net income from gross revenue. So that is it for Hive right there. Like I said, it will be interesting to see what happens with Ethereum once that does transition over to proof of stake. That's going to be a huge hit on them. We'll see what they're able to make as far as the high computing part of it is on other coins. We'll get a bit more details, I think, after that happens, whether it happens this month or next month. We'll get a little bit more, I think, numbers from those. And that will kind of help us gauge as far as what they could be making going forward. But right now it's going to be a pretty big hit. Big thing is, obviously, for them to get the Intel ASIC miners installed, along with the other micro BTs, grow their hash rate, and then obviously they have a 100 million ATM. They got 64 million BTC value. They can obviously use that as well to either buy out other miners that are in distress. They could buy more miners, but they obviously have to build out as well. So those are the plans going forward. I think that they need to work on, provide information on those as well, and possibly the stock will actually start going back up. They just really need to be, I think, a little bit more aggressive in growing their hash rate. That's just my opinion. All right, so that's it for Hive. Let's get into the next one here. So let's take a look at Hut. So here is Hut 8's mining production and operation update for August 2022. Here's the takeaways. So production highlights for August 2022. 375 Bitcoins were generated, resulting in an average production rate of approximately 12.1 Bitcoins per day, which is pretty good. 100% of the self-mined Bitcoin in August were deposited into custody, which is obviously with their long-standing HODL strategy. Bitcoin balance held in reserves was 8,111 as of August 31. So obviously they have quite a bit of BTC HODL there. Installed ASIC hash rate capacity of 2.98 exahash at the end of the month, which excludes certain legacy miners that the company anticipates will be fully replaced by the end of the year. Not sure which ones those are. We'll take a look at those possibly. They don't have too many old miners in there, at least I have them at. but we'll see. And then Hut 8 produced 125.8 BTC Ethereum EH exahash, or 125.8 BTC per exahash in August, which isn't too bad. It's not great either. Additional updates. In late August, Hut 8 installed 180 NVIDIA GPUs in its flagship data center in Kelowna, BC, currently mining Ethereum. The multi-workload machines will be designed to pivot on demand to provide artificial intelligence, machine learning, or VFX rendering services to customers. So obviously we'll have to see what impact it has on them as well. They didn't have quite as much Ethereum mining as Hive does, but it did obviously add a substantial amount to their bottom line as well. So we'll see for Hut 8 what that comes out to be. Here's a quote from Jamie Leverton. We continue to receive and install our monthly shipments of new microBT miners on time, while actively adding to the suite of services we offer our data center customers. So that is good. They are also not providing any information as far as growth-wise going forward, which is also why the stock is down quite substantially here in the last couple of weeks, months, and obviously a majority of the miners are down anyways for this year. So it is what it is. All right, let's take a look at the numbers I have for them, and then we'll get into the next one. So here's Hut 8. Hut 8 has 8,111 BTC right now, valued at about $161 million. That is 43% of their market cap is basically their HODL position, which is just crazy. This is why I don't like companies holding too much BTC HODL. I think growth is more important than HODL, but that's just my take on it. You guys need to do your own research on that. One share has 82 cents of BTC HODL, and one share is $1.91. So they have been beaten down here. They're not as low as they have been, to around $1.38. They're $1.91 right now. They still have a ways to go. I think they're actually lower than that. I did not update my numbers here. That's probably lower. I do apologize for that. Okay, going into here where we are with the production. So 375 BTC mined in August. That is an increase of 45 from July, which was 330, which is good. They did install about roughly about 60 petahash or so in the month of August. So there was a small increase, obviously. About 640 miners were installed. That generated about 8.3 million in revenue, roughly, if we're using the Bitcoin average price for August. And it is an increase of 13.64% over July of BTC produced, which is good. At least they're not going down, so that's a good sign there. Okay, so we have that 8.3 million revenue. Let's see what we got here in July, or actually August, for them, what they installed. And we only had about 640 of these 93 terahash miners being installed. I do have them running at about 28.7 days for the month here. And that is just to get them down to the 8.3 million revenue mark here. So they weren't operational, at least it doesn't look like they were operational for the full time at least. So there's the miners, and let's take a look at institutions really quick while we're down here. So institutions did decrease as well to 173 from 182. Shares decreased quite a bit to 28 million from 38 million, almost 10 million shares less. Percentage owned dropped to 14.52 from 19.99, almost 20%. And we do have some changes here in the analyst ratings. We still have 2 strong buy ratings. Now we only have 3 buy ratings, 1 hold rating now. And the price targets have been cut as well to 837 for the high, 457 for the average, and 304 for the low. So obviously analysts are also looking at it as, I don't think HODL means it that much as some of the miners think that it does. I think investors and institutions are looking for growth. That's just my opinion on that. Okay, so we got that. Let's go take a look at it here. So we're looking at the last 3 quarters, which are a given already. The current quarter is obviously the one that's fluid. It's going to change on us. And we have them at basically a combined total of 137 million in revenue. If we use the 50% net income from gross revenue, it'll be at 704 at a PE of 20, which I don't think that's fair. I think maybe around 15, closer to Hive as well. So $5.28. And then we got them at 75% net income from gross revenue. That would be at $7.92. So that's kind of where I see them once Bitcoin starts going back up. But obviously these numbers, the PE ratios, could go way above that once they actually start making a heck of a lot more money. and that will obviously have an impact on the quarters to come and so forth. So they'll obviously improve, I think. But that's kind of where we're looking at right now. So that's it for Hut 8. They are about 83% operationally installed right now, 20% growth left in them. Not a lot, obviously. I think that's why institutions have been pulling out a little bit as well. We obviously just need to see from Hut 8 some more growth. They need to provide information on getting more miners, more ASIC miners, and then we need to see what the numbers are going to be like for their high compute data centers and things like that, where they're using the GPUs for those purposes as well. And those will probably come in the following months once they transition completely over to it and when Ethereum actually goes over to proof of stake. So fingers crossed, we'll get some good numbers from that, from Hut into Hive as well. Okay, so that's Hut 8 right there in a nutshell. Let's take a look at the next one. So next is Core Scientific here and their August production update. These guys are a monster. The bad thing is the amount of debt that they have. If they didn't have the debt, this would be a no-brainer. But right now, obviously, the debt is a little bit concerning for them. And you can check out my other videos on that. I've done plenty of videos on them with their debt and other miners that are in debt right now. So something to be mindful of there. But they are obviously executing on all 8 cylinders here. So self-mining updates. Self-mining operations produced 1,334 Bitcoins in August. Deployment of approximately 17,000 new servers during the month. Increased curtailment activity across multiple data centers. Limited production advances. So that's obviously not a good thing. And don't know what their agreement is with the power companies, whether or not they get any credits for when they do shut down or not. I would think that they would, but I can't remember if they provided that information someplace. If they have, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But still, 17,000 new miners being installed in a month is one heck of a feat to accomplish. So, I mean, they obviously have their stuff together as far as installing miners and growing really rapidly. None of the other miners are nowhere near this amount of growth as they are. Okay, so increasing hash rate to 12.69 exahash, which is good. A huge increase over the prior month as well. The company expects to deploy approximately 43,000 additional self-mining ASIC servers before the end of 2022. So that would get them another, 4.3, depending on the miners they're using, 4.3 exahash or something like that. As of August month end, self-mining accounted for approximately 59% of the company's total hash rate, which is good. This is obviously a big flip from last year. Last year, they had more hosting than they did for self-mining. This year, within the last 12 months, they've really pushed their self-mining, and it shows. I mean, outstanding job getting that many miners installed. Colocation, don't really care about that. Bitcoin sales and liquidity. So during the month of August, the company sold 1,125 Bitcoins at an average price of $23,014 per Bitcoin for total proceeds of approximately $25.9 million. Company held 1,409 Bitcoins and approximately $47.2 million in cash. So they still have some cash on the sidelines along with Bitcoins that they can use obviously to pay down a little bit of their debt. But I'm sure they're paying quite a bit in expenses as well for power and all that. All right, so that's it here. Let's take a look at what I have for them, and then we'll be down to 2 left. So got a lot. Like I said, this is going to be a long one. All right, here's Core. Core 1,409 BTC. That equates to about 28 million in value right now. It is only 3.69% of their market cap, which is good, which I like to see that low. Share per price HODL is 8 cents, which is also really good. If you're looking for growth and not HODL, this is what you want to look for. Now, take a look at this. This is just nuts. So in July, they mined 1,221. In August, they mined 1,334. That is an increase of 113 more BTC. It's in line with what they did in July, 115 increase, which is really big. And it's a 9.25% increase from that. The other thing was they grew approximately, hash rate difference, 1.7 exahash in growth in just one month, where it's taken the other miners combined probably somewhere around that to get to this amount. So that is just outstanding growth by them. They are right now at 12.69 exahash from 10.9 exahash, so huge growth there on that part. They did sell. I have them at selling at 1,130. They provided 1,125. I could be off somewhere in here, but I thought I was putting in all the numbers that they put in here as reported in each month, and then we're just subtracting what they actually mined from what they actually have here and coming up with a number here. So I came up with 1,130 at roughly 25.9 million in revenue generated from that alone. All right. Looking at it here, we installed the following miners in August, which was these here. These are the 100 terahash miners. We installed 17,900 of them roughly to get us to the 12.69 exahash they reported. And those were mining basically for 18 days compared to the other miners, which were at 25 days for the curtailment that they experienced. Obviously, they got us to 29.9 million. And what do we have them at here? 29.8. So we're pretty close to that. We could probably lower the new miners 29.9 to maybe 17. Let's see if we get that maybe to 17 days. That got us a little bit closer. So we're right around that range there. Not a big deal. It's a rounding error a little bit for them. But still, almost $30 million in revenue from them is huge. They started the year out obviously at a little bit higher place, but Bitcoin was obviously much higher at that point. Bitcoin was at 40-some thousand, something like that, and we were at 41 million in revenue. So they are starting to increase their revenue, even though Bitcoin is coming down. You can see here in June they were at 22.6, July 26, and now almost 30 million. So they are improving their revenue, which is good to see. Month over month, even though Bitcoin price has been coming down for the most part since the beginning of the year. All right, looking at institutions here really quick as well. Institutions are 175. So here we're seeing obviously a lot more institutions buying in. We had 35 more institutions buy into them. Shares increased to 69.85 million. That is a lot of shares. It's basically 30 million shares were bought up by institutions. Percent owned by institutions increased also to 19.55 from 12.16. As far as analyst ratings, we still have 2 strong buy, 4 regular buys, 0 holds, 0 underperforms, and 0 sells. Price targets were taken down a little bit to $10 for the high, $17.17 for the average, and $4 for the low. Still a little bit of an increase on the low, decrease on the average, and decrease on the high, but still institutions are buying in. They are looking at obviously the growth on this. So they know once Bitcoin starts going back up, once Bitcoin reaches back up to 25, 35, 45, 50,000, those Bitcoins, if they continue making that amount, is obviously going to be a huge, huge generation of revenue for them. So I think that's why analysts or institutions are jumping in right now on the ones that are growing currently. And looking at the numbers over here, we can see that they are about 73% installed from being fully operational. They have about 35% growth left in them. And what else can we see here? Market cap, 757 million right now. And if we combine the last 3 quarters plus the current quarter, we're looking at about $400 million in revenue, which is huge. And then if we take the 50% net discount from gross revenue, we're looking at $11.18 for the stock. And if we're looking at 75% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at $16.78. They are right around the $2 mark right now. 208, I think, is where they finished out today. Excuse me. Once Bitcoin starts going up, I have no qualms about them getting to this amount here. Either the 1118 or 1678. Absolutely, I think they can get there quite easily and possibly beat it substantially too. If you excuse me, I have to take a sip of water because my throat is starting to get dry. Sorry for the pause. I should have probably played the sound of crickets while I was taking a sip of water. All right. So that's Core Scientific. Obviously, Core Scientific, huge increase in basically hash rate, miners, and everything else. They've been knocking it out of the park here the last couple of months. The only thing is, obviously, they have to improve their balance sheet. That is a big concern. The amount of debt that they have has to be lowered. Now, whether they're going to do that by diluting shares, raising capital, whatever they got to do, they got to get that down, I think. They could possibly even do a reverse stock split. They have 350 million shares out, do a 5-for-1 split or something like that. something like that, just to bring that down as well. That would bring up the stock price. That could also help them get more institutions as well. So as far as operations go, fantastic job. The only thing is the debt and the hosting. We want to see better margins on the hosting that they currently have. So I know that they're working on it as well. So no qualms here on Core. Fantastic month for them. Huge growth. I don't know how they guys pulled it off, but it's outstanding. All right, so that's Core. Oh, let me see here. One thing I forgot to mention was Core's BTC per petahash was at 0.1051. I forgot to mention it for HUT 8, I believe, also. HUT 8 was 0.1258 BTC per petahash. It's a little bit better than Core. But the reason Core is down is because they installed so many of these miners that it just knocks them down. Once their installation kind of decreases or slows down a little bit, that should go up as long as they also have the miners running for a full month. So that's it. Okay. All right, let's get into Marathon next. Marathon is also a tricky one. They've been having issues, obviously, all year. So here is their Bitcoin production and mining operation updates for August 2022. There's some commentary here. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. Here are some other things. So here's a quote. Our hosting providers have continued to install miners at multiple locations. Based on the latest reports, we expect to have approximately 65,000 additional miners, or approximately 6.9 exahash per second of capacity brought online at multiple facilities over the next 90 days. So if they can pull this off, which is a big if, that was obviously going to be a huge increase for them as well. So here's the 22 update for August and recent highlights. Operating mining fleet consists of approximately 34,000 active miners, producing approximately 3.2 exahash. After approximately 25,000 miners, 2.5 exahash are successfully energized in August. That took a long time to get those energized. We've been waiting since like May or April for those things to get energized. So they finally get it done. Approximately 65,000 additional miners, 6.9 exahash, are expected to be energized over the next 90 days. That's good if they can get that to happen. And then they produced 184 Bitcoin in August. Year to date through August 31st, they produced 2,222 Bitcoin, a 26% increase over the same time period last year, which is still pretty good. It's not as good as some of the other miners, but nonetheless, they were having problems with the hardened facility, which caused them a lot of pain. So an increase is an increase nonetheless. Benefited from a downward market price adjustment for the S19 XPs set to ship in September, and benefits from price adjustments are expected to continue as additional XPs are shipped in October through the December timeframe, which is good. And total Bitcoin holdings increased to 10,311 BTC with a fair market value of 206.7 million as of August 31st, which is good. And then unrestricted Bitcoin holdings were approximately 6.483 unrestricted. Not sure what they mean by that. Did they take I can't remember if they took out a loan against their BTC, or are they doing something else with it, at a market value of 130 million. And then unrestricted cash on hand was approximately 71.4 million as well. And then previously announced exit from Hardin, Montana facility, along with the resales and or redeployments of hard miners, are expected to be completed by the end of September. So in September update, we'll get possibly some numbers as far as what they sold, what they basically moved out of that facility. And that is obviously going to be a good thing for them, because that facility was nothing but a heartache for them, nothing but problems. Miner energization and installations updates. So let's see here. Based on current construction and installation schedules provided to the company by its hosting providers, Marathon currently expects for approximately 65,000 additional miners, or 6.9 exahash, within the next 90 days. Additionally, based on these reports, the company continues to expect to have enough miners installed to generate approximately 23 exahash near the middle of fiscal year 2023. Now, their goal was to get to 23 exahash by the end of this year. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And we'll see if they can actually pull this off by the end of or middle of next year as well. Okay, to take a sip of water. Talking too long, my throat's starting to dry out. Okay, once all of Marathon's previously purchased miners are installed, approximately 66% of the company's hash rate is expected to be generated by S19 XPs. These are the really good ones. These are the 140 terahash miners, which are approximately 30% more energy efficient than the prior generation. As a result, once fully operational, Marathon's Bitcoin mining operations are currently expected to be among the largest and most energy efficient on a per terahash basis. Yes, that is all true, I believe. I know that Core is going to be pretty close to that, and then we got also Clean Spark knocking on their boots as well, trying to get to 22.3, I believe, or something like that. So they're going to be really close to that as well. And it all depends on which miners Clean Spark buys in the next year to get into that spot. That is it here for them. All right, let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them, and we'll get into Riot as the last one, and we'll call it a day. So where's Marathon? Marathon, there it is. Okay, so 10,311 BTC currently held, 204 million in value. That is a market cap of HODL 15.4%. Their market cap is at 1.3, which is just crazy right now to think. I don't know why Marathon is so overvalued right now, based on where everybody else is at. Their market cap to revenue is 8 times right now, where everybody else is around 2, 3, 1, something like that, multiple. They are at 8. Obviously, they are going to be growing quite a bit here still. And I think that's possibly why they still have about 629% growth in them left from where they are right now. So I think that's why they're getting this huge increase in market cap compared to other ones. But that's where we are right now. So they mined 184 BTC in August. They did only 72.3 in July. That is an increase of 111.7 BTC, which is good. Not as good as they were here in the beginning of the year. They were at 462 in January, and March was 436. They had some problems with the facility in Hardin in February, but they were back up in March. So they did really good there, and then after that, things were going south for them, and they're now slowly, getting out of that hole, it looks like. Based on what they mined here, we got them at 4.1 million roughly. They're also BTC per petahash efficiency is pretty low. It's 0.0575. It was a little bit better last month around, but they only had like 700 petahash running at that time. They do have obviously 3.2 exahash right now. That's hurting them, and then we'll take a look at how long those were running actually to get us to the 4.1 million. It is an increase of 154% from month over month, which is good on that as well. And let's take a look at the numbers down here, see what we installed actually. Going to August. Okay, so in August we basically have these now installed here. And those were all running basically for 13 days to come up to the 4.1 million roughly in revenue. The miners that we had already marked here to install in July, I left them as they were. I updated my numbers up top, but we had these all miners running roughly $4 days and 4.32 days. Sorry, during the month, and that equated to what we actually had them making about 1.5 million in July, which was pretty sad. Now, August is obviously much better. Once they get more miners installed and they're operating longer, I would think, they should obviously increase quite substantially as far as their BTC production is concerned going forward. Same thing in September, October, those numbers should improve. So you can see here that we have those at 13 days in August. If we have them at just the 30 days in September, they're going to be obviously double what they made this month. For September will be obviously better. And if they increase their hash rate, that's obviously going to help them out as well and going forward as well. So they're starting to, like I said, dig themselves out of this hole that they've been in here for the last couple of months with BTC production. So there's those. And let's take a look at the institutions. Institutions have been decreasing here. So we are down to 306 institutions in today when I checked it. And we have seen it be around 337 for a while here, and then it's been coming down here, it looks like, over the past couple of months. So shares right now is 47.1 million. Percentage owned is 40.37, so that's surprising that institutions decreased, but it looks like the ones that were invested with them have bought more. So that's actually a good sign there that they bought more. Strong buys, we have 3. Buys, we have 4, so that's down from 5 in the prior month. And we do have 2 holds now. That's an increase from the prior month as well. Price targets stay pretty much the same. High is $35. The average is 20.14, so that actually went up a little bit, and the low went up to 9. So it looks like analysts are starting to think that they're going to be able to get these miners installed when they're saying they're going to get them installed. So looking where we are right now, it looks like this quarter and the last 3 quarters, we're looking at about 150 million in revenue. If we're looking at 50% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at $12.92. They are at not too far off from that right now. So right now they're pretty close to being fairly valued, I think. And if we look at 75% net income, they're $19.39. Obviously, Bitcoin starts going back up, they're going to get a much higher multiple rating here on them. But yeah, people have been buying them up crazy in the past couple of weeks, and they're coming down a little bit here in the last couple of weeks as well. And you can see here they went from 554 all the way to 1824, and then down to 1138 as well. So they have been coming down. All right, I think we covered it all here on Marathon. There's nothing. Operational 13.7% right now. Huge growth, like I said before. 629% left to get them to the 23 exahash. So, like I said, I think that's why they are so valued right now, is because of their future growth, possibly. Okay, so that is it for Marathon. Big thing is obviously they have to get the miners installed. They have to get miners installed. That is it. Reduce the amount of downtime that they have. Obviously, with hardening going away, that should improve. And debt, they're also quite heavily indebted as well. We need to see that come down. They can obviously use their BTC HODL if they wanted to, but I'm sure they're going to wait until Bitcoin jumps back up to 50,000 or something like that. That'll basically get them close to $500 million in value on that. They could use that to pay off their debt then, or fund future growth if they wanted to. So it's a good start for them, I think, getting back on the saddle here. And hopefully this continues on forward for them, and we'll see where the stock goes from there. So that's it. It was a great, obviously, news that they installed the miners, and I'll just leave it at that. But they obviously have to execute every single month on this, I think. All right, finally, we got Riot here. So Riot announces August 2022 production and operation updates. And here are the details. So in August, Riot produced 374 BTC, a decrease of approximately 50% as compared to August of last year, of 441 BTC, while significantly reducing overall power costs through effective employment of its proprietary power strategy, so they get credits back. So Riot earned an estimated 3.0 million in power credits as a result of curtailment activity to be credited against its power invoices, which is obviously good. It's kind of like you're making money. Well, your bottom line is getting a lot better because of it. The 3 million in power credits equates to approximately 136 BTC, computed by using the August 2022 average daily closing Bitcoin price of 22,097. So if they made 374, add 136 to it, you're looking at 510 BTC roughly, which would be an increase over last year of 441. All right. And then as of August, Riot held approximately 6,720 BTC, all produced by company self-mining operations. They also sold 350 BTC, generating net proceeds of approximately 7.7 million. Riot currently has deployed fleet of 46,658 miners with a hash rate capacity of 4.8 exahash per second. Their hash rate did come down a little bit in the prior month because they were moving miners from one facility to another, and it has jumped back up now. And mining deployment and shipment update. So since its last monthly update, Riot received an additional 9,326 new S19J Pros and deployed 6,347 S19s J Pros in its immersion cooled buildings, with an additional 6,336 miners staged for deployment. Additionally, shipments of 10,193 S19J Pros have been initiated out of Bitmain Technologies Limited and are expected to be received during September 2022. Upon deployment of staged miners, the company expects to have a total of 52,994 miners deployed with a hash rate capacity of approximately 5.4 exahash. So obviously quite a bit of more growth for them as well. Infrastructure update, I'm not going to get into this too much. Estimated hash rate growth. So by Q1 2023, Riot anticipates a total self-mining hash rate capacity of 12.5 exahash, assuming full deployment of approximately 115,450 Antminer ASICs, but excluding any potential incremental productivity gains from the company's utilization of 200 megawatt immersion cooling infrastructure. We're still waiting on some updates on that. I would love to hear what the incremental gains are on those when they do report them. And I think that is it. They got some conference schedules. All right, let's see what the numbers I have for them. and then we are done. If you made it all the way through this so far, thank you so much for watching. It's been a long one. All right. So BTC HODL is 6,720, valued at 133 million roughly. It is about 13% of their market cap right now. You can see them at 1 billion, and each share has about 86 cents of market cap right now. They do have 154 million shares out. The stock price is around $6 something right now as of today. And they produced 374 BTC today, which is an increase obviously over 318 in July. 56 more Bitcoins were mined than in July, which is good. Their efficiency, BTC per petahash, is up a little bit to 0.0778, and that is basically because of their curtailment, shutting down the miners. They do have, obviously, we're using the hash rate that they ended up at, but they're using it for 20 days or something like that. That's going to take a pretty big hit here on the BTC per petahash that they're mining. So we have that number. What are we looking at here? Oh, and we do have them obviously selling 350 BTC for about 7.8 million in revenue roughly. So we're in line with that. And then looking at it here as far as the miners for July, to get them to the 4.2 exahash, I moved some stuff around here. I took out the ones that were the 90 terahash here and took out the ones that were down here as well, just to get them to that number, along with reducing the amount here as well, which were the 110 terahash miners. Just to get them to 4.2. Once those miners get back up and energized, we'll include them here going forward. So we do have them at 6.8 million roughly in revenue this month. Do I have that correctly? Did I do that right? I'm second guessing myself now. Nope, I didn't do that right. It's 8.364. 8.364 in August. What do we have them at? 8.3. Okay, so I was looking at August. I was looking at July. So those are back in here. We did add these back in here. Those got taken out here, but those are all the 90 terahash, so we're okay there. So we do have an 8.3, which is great. Okay. Now going forward, 8.3 here. It looks like they might be at, if they run full steam in September, they could be around 13 million if Bitcoin stays where it's at right now, which it's going to be hard for it to do that with its falling down in price here recently. Institutions, so we do have 313 institutions, so that is an increase, and we have an increase of about 11 million shares were bought up by institutions, which brought them up to about 35% owned by institutions, to 54.83 million shares. We got one extra strong buy to 3. From 2 buy is still 7. Hold got removed, moved over to the strong buy, it looks like, from the prior month. And we have a price target of $20 for the high, $14.38 for the average, low of $7.80. And I have them at, looking at it here, I have at $14 at 50% net income from gross revenue if they get to 218 million, which I think this is going to probably increase a little bit based on getting more miners installed in September. And wow, it's almost hard to believe that we're going to be at the end of Q3 already this month. Oh, wow, time flies. All right, so that'll give it 218 million roughly. We're using the PE of 20 on them. That's 14.17 for the PE of 50% net income from gross revenue, and then 75% net income from gross revenue. Looking at 21.25, which is kind of in line with what I have them. Surprisingly, are the analysts watching my videos here? What's going on here? The average is 14.38. The high is 20. I think they might be watching my videos. Okay, so that's kind of where I got them right now. Obviously, Bitcoin goes up in price. It's going to help them with their HODL position. Is going to go up. It's also going to help them going forward, as well as with the other miners. And I'm starting to get tongue-tied here. I've been talking for over an hour, it looks like. All right. Percentage or operational-wise, they are 33.29% installed right now. They have about 200% of growth left, which is great. And I think that is it right now. I think I covered everything. If not, you guys can always ask me later on. But that is it. That's Riot. Riot obviously needs to continue growing. They need to get the miners plugged in. Then we need to find out, as far as the emergent cooling is concerned, what incremental gains do they have from that. I'm really interested to find out what that is. So that's obviously going to increase them by maybe another 15%, 10% at the end of future hash rate, possibly, based on the 200 megawatts they have. So that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking through this. Like I said, I'm going to probably cut this up eventually into their own little videos for each miner, just so you guys don't have to watch an hour worth of information here. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, if you found this useful at all, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out. And spreadsheets is going to be available to my Patreon members. As always, thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Love you all. Have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.